How great has this week been for you?
Oh my goodness. It was, honestly, I was super nervous. If you look at our, we do stress tests every morning, kind of like, how are you feeling? Body felt great, nerves, unnerved the whole week. Minimally a 5 out of 10, just so nervous. Since 05, as an Eagles fan, we waited 12, 13 years for this. And to win when we faced arguably the greatest quarterback ever with the greatest Super Bowl performance ever, it was ridiculous. I lost it. You saw the video, I started crying. Yeah. My girl was mad because I haven't cried in 5, 10 years. Nothing she does can get me to tears, but the Eagles brought me to tears.
How, I mean, you grew up in Lancaster, so how long have you been an Eagles fan?
Whole life. You're either a Steelers fan or an Eagles fan, and it's a pretty hard line. And grew up an Eagles fan, Penn State fan. You know, Donovan McNabb days, you know, Brian Westbrook, Dawkins, you know, back in those days. And we went to 4 straight NFC championships. I remember losing to the Bucks when they won it. Talked to Jeff about that one. He made sure to rub it in my face. But it's been, as an Eagles fan, it's been hard. Eagles fans catch a lot of grief for being who they are, for being obnoxious, for being ridiculous. And I laugh because when I go and play there, I get heckled, but I deep down inside know I'm one of them. But I can't be upset because ultimately there's passionate about it. Just like, you know, when you care about something, you want to see your players go out and succeed and you hold them to high standards, and I do the same. I never played football a day in my life. So when I yell at Nick Foles for missing a pass, I've never even played football once. But I want him to complete it because I love the team, and you know, I'm so happy for the team and the city, and all my friends were on Broad Street. I saw all of my videos and Instagrams and pictures. Everyone took them, and I wish I could be there on Thursday, but we have our own business to take care of.
Maybe it's not even a different perspective as a pro athlete. Like, you know what it's like to be a professional, but does that just go out the window when you're watching a TV?
It goes completely out the window. I get angry, I cuss, I lose my composure. That game, I threw my hat on the ground so many times. I cried. I turned it into a rally cap. When the Patriots came out and scored a Super Bowl or a touchdown, I thought that was it. I said, "Oh, here they go," and I said, "This is the moment." But we rebounded. The team was resilient. You know, they were told a million times that the season was over. And honestly, though, when I thought about it in hindsight, I don't know if anyone saw my post on Twitter, but for me to feel such happiness seeing them do well, I want to give Portland fans that. Obviously, you know, there's other guys who might score the goals, you know, minutes or go here and there, but you know, if someone can feel what I felt, I want to give that to other people, because I was smiling, I was crying, I wasn't hungry. You know, it's one of these incredible emotions that you feel once, twice, 3 times in your life, and unless you're a Patriots fan, I guess, then you feel it a few times. Yeah, exactly. But you know, to be able to give that to other people in our own sport would be pretty cool. And I know in 2015, a lot of those guys were able to give that. So hopefully we can do it one more time, maybe 2, 3, 4 more times.
Just one more thing on that. Did you have to like rush back from the airport? You guys had to
Yeah, we got it at 1:30, and it was one of those things where like I had to make sure I wore the same thing I wore last week. So it was the same joggers. I was upset because my undershirt was actually in the wash, but I wore the same jersey, same hoodie, hat on the same way. Sat, perched up, watched the full thing. I made sure I watched it from beginning to end, from the Meek Mill entrance to halftime to calling my brothers 30 minutes before the game started and talking tactics. Again, they played football. I didn't even play football, but I'm like, you know, deep into it and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm a huge fan, and you know, to hopefully one day return, that would be pretty cool.
Now, that type of, I mean, I don't know what you'd even call that, just like believing that you yourself are going to somehow influence the game. Do you bring that at all to the locker room? Are you kind of a superstitious guy when it comes to the way that you play, or like your typical like pre-game warm-ups, or is that just as a fan for the Eagles? No,
I try to kind of, you know, abide by the positivity rules, what I'll call it, in terms of everything before and in and around a sporting event that I'm involved with is positive. There's never one negative thought. Even if you miss a pass in a warm-up, it's always next one is going to be perfect, and the next one's going to be perfect, and it's going to be, you might make a mistake, you might even play a bad song on your playlist that you don't like or whatever, trip, but it's always a positive feeling going forward, because ultimately you can't affect what just happened. You can only affect the next string of events. And if you make a bad pass, you make sure that your next pass is perfect, because the next one could lead to a goal. The next one could, be a slide tackle to save a goal. So it's kind of just passing along this, positive mentality. And, for me, it comes down to dressing. It comes down to a mindset. It comes down to looking good before a game. It comes down to, even if you're not playing, I played half the games last year. So the other half, I was the biggest cheerleader possible. So to kind of try to bring that attitude is something that, at times will be tough, because you ultimately want to play and you're a competitor, but ultimately we're fighting for one goal, we're one team. So if I can help the team in any way possible, it's something I try to take pride in. I traveled on a few trips last year and didn't dress, but I was happy to be with the team, to be around them the day before a game, to be at their team meals, to make them laugh, and some guys might be uptight, loosen them up a little bit. So it's things like that you have to kind of recognize that sometimes they're bigger things than, maybe just your individual play at times.
Did you empathize at all with the Nick Foles situation? I mean, there's a guy who sat, he waited, he did everything right, with the team. He'd had shots before, sits, and when his time was right, when his number was called. Do you take any of that? Like, is there any sort of lesson there? Like, do you take any of that to heart?
And if you look at the past few years for him, he was about to retire a few years ago, and that's not an easy decision. Obviously, he's been through some ups and downs and had some tough times, but doesn't let that define him as a person and as a player. And ultimately, when he made the decision to come back to Philadelphia, he was in a system with a team in a city that he was very comfortable with. We drafted him, and to have that comfort level, one, will make him play better, and obviously, knowing the support that he has in the locker room. From day one, I'm in the Eagles fan group of Portland. There was something on, I think, KUTV that they did about our fan group. We go to Coach's Bar right by in Cedar Hills, and even the Steve, who's the leader of the fan group, right when Wentz went down, he actually wrote an email, and he goes, it's not if Foles will play well, it's when Foles plays well, this is what the team is going to do. And from the fans, we kind of took that mindset. And, I had my doubts, honestly. I think, to have someone not play a game, they'd have to go in and basically say, all right, well, you're going to start in the playoffs, and you're going to go up against some really tough teams. And he balled out. And I couldn't be happier for him, because, you pay your dues in a sport, and ultimately he was rewarded for that. He was a good professional. When he was called on, he was ready, and his body was prepared, his mind was prepared. And ultimately, I try to, have this same approach. I may not be starting day one, but if I have to get called upon, I'm going to try to do my best.
Soccer question, too.
No worries.
But I'm interested from your perspective as a guy that hangs out a little bit with some of the Spanish-speaking guys, speaks a little Spanish. What's it been like having a coach like Gio now, with difference in Caleb, that can connect maybe on a different level with the language barrier, at least with that section of the team, as well as English speakers?
Obviously it's a really positive thing for our team to have someone to come in and speak multiple languages. Ultimately, I would say the understanding factor of what the expectations are more clearly, communicated. And ultimately, Gio's great when it comes to making you want to play for him. And that's something that we felt from day one. First day he came in, played 5v2. He's going in the middle. He's defending. High-fiving people. Hugging people. From day one, that's coach you want to play for. And when you can communicate with every single player, look them in the eye, and tell them exactly what you want, and have there be no miscommunications about it. That's great. And then ultimately, being a player that can be bilingual and kind of float around in different aspects of the locker room, it gets guys to buy in. There's no no feeling of, oh, I didn't understand there, I didn't get this drill, or I'm not understanding the way we press, or the way we want to keep the ball. Everyone's on the same page, then we can talk. And ultimately, if I have to mediate between some players at times, that's fine. I enjoy those conversations and enjoy helping the team, be better. And that's ultimately one of my roles as someone who can speak multiple languages, who does have, different background, to kind of help, guide the team communication-wise. And that's why when I have to speak Spanish, or I have to speak a little bit of French, or whatever I have to do, I take pride in that aspect of my game, and just want to help the team in the best way. Like I think Vitas or Jeff mentioned, we were having a chat, and ultimately, if guys are coming out and playing 5v2 after a week of double days, we had one or 2 days off, and we're laughing and we're enjoying it, that speaks for itself. The staff has implemented a good system where we enjoy playing, and we're not running. We're not, my first year in the league, we ran for 3 minutes. 3-minute runs, 2-minute runs, 1-minute runs for 3 weeks, and barely touched the ball. Here, it's all fitness with the ball, so that's the best part about it. We don't want to, we're soccer players. We want to touch the ball, we want to run with it, and if we have to track back and that's our fitness, I'll track back any day of the week as opposed to running 120s or whatever it might be. So their aspect of going about it is, a little bit tougher, but ultimately with the style we want to play and the ideas that they're implementing, we need to be a fit team, and we understand that, and that's an exciting part because it's a new system. Everyone's reinvigorated. Everyone's excited, and I'm excited to put it all together and to get the season started.
You have like an introduction to new guys in the locker room,
yep.
and it's kind of a staggered off season.
Yes.
There's players being signed. Kind of talk a little bit about like how you fold in players into the locker room and kind of like the culture that's already here established, and like how you guys introduce like new players as they kind of come mid preseason.
Yeah, I mean, besides singing a song in front of the whole group, we try to just incorporate them as soon as possible. Throw them into the flames. Get to know about their family, because I think when you genuinely show interest in knowing more about a player and a teammate than just what foot they pass to and what they want on the field, you're going to get a close relationship, and ultimately that closer relationship will lead to better performance on the field. I have a very good relationship off the field with Diego, and then on the field it translates to us kind of having a little bit of this understanding the more years we play together of just where each other is. And I can go on and on and on about players like that, but it's just a matter of getting to know them as people, knowing where they're coming from, knowing how many kids they have. Guzman, had a kid in the offseason, which is fantastic. Seba just had a little baby as well, showing us videos of his kids. That stuff goes so far. And I think that, there's such a good culture within our locker room, and we embrace diversity and we embrace people from different backgrounds, and that's something that we pride ourselves on. And ultimately we're vying for the same goal, so we're excited to learn about things and use each other's strengths to try to build us up as a team. And the coaching staff preach that, and when they preach it and they show that example on the field, by speaking a few languages, and at times you take people aside, you pull Victor aside, who doesn't speak very good English, but then ultimately Victor comes in and he wants to learn English, and then Guzman's trying to speak English to Reggie, and Chara's speaking better English than I've ever heard him speak before. And these cultural changes are what's going to push our team forward in the long run, and the closer we are off the field, the closer we'll be on the field.